Hey guys, this is Becca and this is video 12 of 2018. I finished DrawABox lesson 2 this week. I'm actually doing the video a little early because I'm out of town, so not too many drawings for this video, but I did finish lesson 2, so that was really exciting. The end of lesson 2, which I kind of took a little break from to do the cylinder challenge, was intersecting shapes and organic intersections. So basically intersecting solid things and intersecting squishy things. So the squishy things, the organic intersections, were pretty straightforward. I felt like that went pretty easily. It wasn't too challenging. I went possibly like a little gung-ho on the shadows, which makes it really obvious that I don't actually know how shadows work, but in general I kind of thought that this exercise sort of served its purpose and was pretty fun, kind of like relaxing to do. The intersecting shapes, on the other hand, really challenging, and luckily in the video it's very clear that that's not really the point of this exercise, and that's kind of more of like a just sort of an introduction to try and get you to start thinking about those things, which, on a side note, it's very strange how hard it is to visualize these intersections, because obviously we're surrounded by intersecting shapes and different objects are all just like made up of different shapes put together, so you'd think that it would be really easy to understand how those things work together, but for some reason it's really hard to visualize, unlike other things in perspective that are really obvious, you know? Like if things are far away, they're small. That just like makes sense. But for some reason when you're like, a cylinder intersecting a sphere, it's like your brain just blows up or something. So I'm not sure why that is less kind of like in our mental model to start with, but that's what the exercises are for. So I started out with just some cubes intersecting, some boxes intersecting rather. And honestly, the first few, I didn't even know where to start. Like I was just staring at the page, like couldn't even figure out where to put my first mark down. So I was kind of just like struggle bus for the first couple attempts at it. And then it kind of started to click. I started incorporating more shapes, and by the end I mean, honestly, this is probably like 99.9% wrong, but at least I was kind of starting to feel or kind of know what it was actually going to look like, whether or not the actual intersection is correct. I could sort of imagine how two objects might combine to make one object, versus like when you start, it's really confusing because there's just like so many lines and you're not sure what's in front of what and everything. So I think this exercise was really helpful because it was something I'd honestly never tried before. You know, when you do study shapes, even when you're like in high school, they're like, draw a cube, draw a cylinder, but they never tell you to draw a cube intersecting with a cylinder. So this was like way at first for me, and honestly kind of crazy that you don't learn this, because obviously that's how you build you know, more complex shapes with smaller shapes. So I think this is super important, and I'm glad that even though it was really hard and just like kind of a struggle, to be honest, I think this was a really good use of my time, and I think this is the kind of thing where you have to keep building on that and increasing your knowledge so that you can make cool things like animals or cars or trees or whatever else you want to draw from imagination. And the other thing was I felt pretty good about my actual shapes in this last section, with how they kind of felt very solid, and I thought my line work was looking better and the perspective was pretty similar. So I was actually really happy with how they turned out, just in terms of the actual kind of like quality, I guess, of the drawing. So that was really exciting too, kind of seeing some things start to come together, which was great. And I guess I will be starting lesson 3. I'm not actually sure what that is yet, but next week I will be starting lesson 3. On to the drawings.